We're back and we're live with another day of G1 League Western Qualifier action. It's Evil Geniuses versus Fnatic, North America versus Europe. You better pick your side and take a seat right now because this one, it's going to be fast, it's going to be furious, and it should be a really exciting matchup. I'm LD of Beyond the Summit. I'm joined here today with Luminous, and Lumi, the winner of this match will be in your winner bracket finals, and at that point, basically knocking on the door of securing a spot at the LAN finals for the G1 League.
USA. Casters could take side, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you can even throw away your nationality if it comes to being a fan of the United States. That's what Milk did. No respect for his home country. Just walked in proudly waving the American flag at TI2. And, well, speaking of Milk, he's actually not here today. Sexy Bambo standing in again for EG. It's been a pretty effective recipe for them so far, all things considered. But he won't be playing. This time around, it will be Milk who's being filled in for. B-Diz is back.
Yeah, I mean, right now with the Sexy Bambo kind of standing in, I think EG was doing a little bit of kind of role switching themselves. We saw Jo playing support a couple times. You saw Fear going to the 4 role a couple of times. And with B-Diz returning, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to switch up again. I know that Fear, Jo, as well as B-Diz, very versatile players. So if they need to switch up the roles, I don't imagine it's going to be a big deal.
Absolutely. And well, with that being said, guys, I think it's a great opportunity to just kind of talk about the matchup for these two teams. For Evil Geniuses, they're coming in hot into the series. They've knocked down Team Liquid twice in a row now. Obviously one of the top Western teams, but I think the question in a lot of people's minds is, can they do it against other teams, or is it just Liquid where they seem to have their number and match up well against them? They certainly have the talent. They've got the names, but can they put it together and make a deep run in the G1 League qualifier? Can they make it to China? It's great for EG to have those exciting wins in the early stages, but they've got to go all the way. They barely even squeaked into the qualifier, actually all but losing to AL in the end, a default win in map 2, but they were down quite a bit at that point in their play and match. So here they are, Lumi. They've gotten a second shot, and so far they've made AL, well, if not feel good about it, at least feel like EG is doing right by them and playing their asses off here. And they will have to play their asses off against this Fnatic team because Fnatic, they've got their full 5-man roster. Fly is here, and the one thing for Fnatic, not a team who necessarily gets to practice with their full 5 a lot, but it seems for the G1 League qualifier, they're able to devote that time.
I love personally watching Fnatics, and for that, I hope they go really far in this tournament as well as all the other tournaments they might be invited in the future, simply for the fact that they don't play Dota like most other European/North Americans do. They love to play their heroes a little bit more differently. They love to re-innovate, like to kind of discover new strategies. And speaking of which, Hani's a Beastmaster that goes Boots of Travel first, teleport into his own Hawk, and just go for kind of surprise spot 6 ganks. That's the stuff that you don't generally see from any other team, any other solo mid player. And that's kind of what I mean about Fnatic. So I'm ready to be surprised, and let's see what surprises Fnatic have for today.
Did you really just say surprise butt sex as though it's a professional way to describe his gags? That was like the calmest delivery I've ever heard. Oh, Lumi, we're going to have to put you through some training. And, well, with that being said, just kidding. But with that being said, Evil Geniuses, they'll pick up a very solid, well-rounded draft. The Gyrocopter, the Lone Druid, the Darkseer. And for me, this is kind of your classic EG draft where they'll pick a couple of heroes that scale reasonably well, but also a lineup that loves to just go in 5-man. And the one thing they're lacking is that big team fight initiator. Sure, they have Darkseer, but they don't have many stuns, is what I'm trying to say. So no RP, no Ravage or anything like that, but it wouldn't surprise me if they try to sneak in maybe something like an Enigma later in this draft. There isn't a Milk in this game, but I don't necessarily think that'll stop EG from going for that type of hero. And for Fnatic, they have Keeper of the Light. They've got the makings of stopping a push, but whenever there's a Lone Druid, Illuminate only does so much to actually stop the push.
Yeah, Illuminate actually doesn't do anything, in fact, against that Spirit Bearer. Sure, it burns a couple of hundred HP off of him, but with Armlet on top, he should be mostly fine. I think having a high-level Keeper of the Light is going to be important to max that blinding light from his spirit form, and that's going to be something of a big annoyance factor. But for now, I imagine Evil Geniuses will work to have very, very sturdy lanes. When you start with a Lone Druid and Darkseer, that's the making of great lanes, because all of these heroes so far could go into multiple lanes. We've seen Gyrocopter go offensive tri-lane, defensive tri-lane. He could go solo mid. Same thing with the Lone Druid. We could see him long lane, see him mid, see him even jungle from time to time.
Wow.
And of course, same thing with the Darkseer. But Stormseer is going to get picked up here by Fnatic. And I imagine Trixie will be playing that, although Hani could play a couple of Storms themselves as well. So we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, let's dig a little bit deeper. We've talked a lot about Evil Geniuses. We haven't really talked about Fnatic. Now, this is a team who's been going through some role swaps of their own for a while, for a long while. It was always Hani who went mid and No-Tail who would play that 4 position, one of the most exciting 4 position players, and occasionally, if they did pick up a hero like Meepo, he might actually take over a carry role, but generally has played support for this team, and a very solid one at that. They experimented with him going mid. Evil Geniuses, or sorry, Fnatic rather, they got some feedback for the community for constantly buying double couriers and just bottle crowing off the bat, or bottle even walking courier off the bat for No-Tail. I feel like they ended the experiment a bit early. It was basically just the one LAN, EMS, where things didn't really go well for them, and since then, it seems like it's been Hani back on the middle role and No-Tail back on support. So what roles will they show today? Not entirely sure. We do expect Era to be on that carry role, Trixie most likely in the off lane, and then Fly playing one of the support positions. But as for No-Tail and Hani, I'm not entirely sure who will be playing what, and I feel like that's one of the nice things about Fnatic is they are experimenting, but they're a team much like EG where they can switch those roles, and all the players have the potential to be high impact even doing so.
Yeah, Trixie was playing Storm in the mid lane from time to time as well, so he might actually take the mid role today, as his Stormster is actually very, very good. And of course, I like how you brought up the role changes because Hani plays a mean Earthshaker, and I think aside from Team Dignitas, Fnatic is one of the only teams that pick up Earthshaker, which I feel like is a very, very good hero. Simply, we've forgotten how good he simply is because of the crowd control he provides, the long initiation range. So I'm looking forward to see a Fnatic picking up Earthshaker. I'm not exactly sure how it really fit into this draft since they both have Keeper and Nyx Assassin, and Nyx Assassin generally is played as a support. So maybe not particularly in this game, but in this best of 3, I'm hoping to see an ES, and I'm sure a lot of people in the crowd are going to be in agreement with that as well.
Yeah, Hadi's ES has been exciting. Other teams have played Earthshaker very sporadically, but Hadi's actually played it a lot. I can't always say it's been a successful series of games when they pick the Earthshaker, but I wouldn't fault Hani's ES play for that. The Fissure is almost always on point, and he finds a way to get that Blink Dagger quite early. Kind of reminds you of the Chinese teams back in the more farming-oriented meta, where the Earthshaker at some point in the game would always get the farm priority, get the early Blink, and it seems like Fnatic creates that space for the supports to do it. So with that being said, looking more specifically at this draft, the one thing I really like right now for Fnatic, they have a Storm Spirit, and Evil Geniuses actually has 0 reliable disables to deal with him.
Unless Darkseer somehow finds himself a quick Scythe of Ice, which I don't imagine.
There's no such thing as a quick Scythe of Ice.
Yeah, you know, we've seen Queen of Pain rush it straight up, but yeah, he needs Arcane Boots first. He needs a mech soon to follow through, and yeah, so far we don't see anything from Evil Geniuses, but there's a hero that's been running around lately that's been killing a lot of Storm Spirit, and it's Line. We saw Malsport the other day picked up a Line. I think it was Paz that played it supremely beautiful.
That was a clinic.
Yeah, it was like a 17-minute Blink Dagger on a line, on a support line. So let's see if EG is going to tap into some of that. We've seen Fog play a lot of Shadow Shaman, which is a natural Storm Spirit counter. So there's definitely answers, and answers are frequently being picked up from many other teams. We'll see what the EG answer is to Storm.
I really like the idea of Shadow Shaman because he only gives you the one reliable disable with the Hex that you can't really count on being able to channel Shackles in most situations, but he gives you the wards as well. And then you have the potential to push with the Bear, the wards, and maybe an early mech from the Darkseer. And sure, Fnatic, they'll have Illuminate, but beyond Illuminate, there's not much counter push, and it's not going to deal with the Bear by itself. So I think for Fnatic, they'll need either to just go all really hard towards the gank and maybe pick up even... I'm not sure what they would go for, but some sort of aggressive hero that can take the fights and dive you under your towers, or they're going to have to back off and take some AoE from their supports. And for Fnatic, you always think, well, maybe it'll be a Phantom Lancer with this team. They do enjoy the hero quite a bit. We've seen Era playing it fairly frequently, and with Keeper of the Light already on the board, and some heroes that can create a little bit of space with the Nyx and the Storm pickups, I think there may be... It may be a hero they go for. I'm not sure it's the right hero, though, because he doesn't really do much to stop the pushes.
Yeah, at least definitely not early on. Maybe about 35 to 40 minutes in. So the Stormster himself is going to draw, buy a lot of room for his team. Speaking of Stormster counters, we haven't really selected the solo mid just yet. Although again, with Lone and Darkseer, I imagine one of these guys could be going solo mid, unless they go into the jungle and basically play a la Dignitas, play very, very greedy. The Pucka is a very decent answer to Stormster, as well as a Beastmaster, and both these heroes, Demon plays it perfectly. So we'll see if they want to draft very greedily or they want to stick with these 3 heroes as their 3 cores.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Rubik is the final ban from Fnatic, so... Well, we'll see what they go into. They're going to get rid of that setup stun for EG. Something they are lacking is that setup support. So the Bane gets banned, the Rubik gets banned. There is still Shadow Demon in the pool, and honestly, it wouldn't be a bad hero for for Evil Geniuses to look towards. It gives you a pretty nice initiation versus a hero like Storm. They would need the follow-up stun. That's the main thing, but there are 2 follow-up stuns in this game, Leshrac or Lina. I lean a bit towards the Leshrac simply because he'll push harder, and you have Lone Druid and the early Mech Buyer in the Darkseer. Like you mentioned, they could go super Dignitas style, get really greedy. There is a Clockwork as well for EG. I mean, maybe not something I've seen them play a lot, but if you want to be Dignitas guest, could be the option, but it will be the Lion, and there's your lockdown. 2 spells to deal with the Storm in a 1-hero package.
Yeah, but it's also a big bait to that mana burn as well as later on mana leak. So this Lion's positioning has to be absolutely perfect. He's a very, very squishy hero. You get mana burn once, you're done. You actually are not going to be able to cast all your spells in that team fight. And also, the big thing about playing a support Lion is that he somehow needs to find that level. And sure, Gyrocopter is a great offensive traveling hero or a traveling hero overall, but Lion by himself is not too good. The range is there. The nukes are there, but the damage is really lackluster. The cast animation is very awkward, and the intelligent growth is quite low. And Clockwork is going to be the picked up here for Fnatic, so that's another set of mana burn, both against Darkseer, against Lone Druid, more importantly Lion as well. And TA is going to be the last and final pickup. I imagine Demon's going to be playing that mid.
It's an interesting question because in the past you would say, man, it's always Jo, but Demon took it the last time they picked the TA versus Liquid. And he even said afterwards, I believe, that he wasn't super confident in his TA play because he just hasn't been playing the hero much, but he still had a great game in spite of that. It wasn't the most polished TA performance. I wouldn't say it was quite on the level of, say, what Korok has been delivering, but you got to figure after that pick, Demon probably went back and practiced it quite a bit. And in this game, if Evil Geniuses have a good start, their Death Ball is devastating. Their gank potential is great. This is a lineup that if it gets to the 10-15 minute mark and has not been punished much, I think it's going to be hard to punish them at all.
Well, I think they are going to get punished, though, because look at their lanes, right? They're going to have Lone Druid probably solo, Darkseer in a jungle, and then you have a somewhat of a very weak line Gyrocopter dual lane with a Templar solo mid. You could poke holes into this laning assignment for EG very, very easily.
I guess my question is, how do you look to do that? Because I look at Fnatic and I see Keeper of the Light, great for being aggressive if you have the right follow-up, but I'm not sure the follow-up is there. The Nyx Assassin and Clockwork don't really have great synergy as a combo, and it's a double melee pairing at that, and I'm not sure, Lumi. I mean, I agree with you that they definitely want to be aggressive in the mid-game once Nyx hits 6, once the Storm hits level 6, but I don't really think they can actually get much done in the laning stage. I feel like it will be a very passive start for both teams.
Yeah, the last pick on Anti-Mage really limited their options of how they could lane it. If you pick a stronger solo hero, you could basically say, all right, Anti-Mage, you're on your own against that Lone Druid, and then we could definitely run the offensive trialing with things like Clock, Nyx Assassin, and Keeper, and then shut down that Gyro. But now with the Anti-Mage pickup, I'm guessing it's going to be a defensive trialing, and that seems to be the case here as we see Fly moving upwards here on the top lane on that Keeper of Light. We do have Anti-Mage being handled by Era, and of course, everybody has already left the fountain. Nyx Assassin is going to be handled by No Tail. Hani's going to be playing that solo mid, so we were kind of wondering what he's going to be playing. He's going to be pulled quite a bit as well. Started with a No Talisman, and as a Storm Slayer, you definitely need as much stat as you get your hands on, and good to see him on that. And last but not least, Trixie is going to be playing on the long lane Clockwork.
Yeah, Trixie's sitting on a ton of regen and an early Stout Shield. And over on the side of Evil Geniuses, we have Team America with a bit of European flavor with Sexy Bambo standing in. It will be Fear playing that carry Gyrocopter in the safe lane, sitting on a lot of gold at the moment. We'll see what he looks to buy. Jo going to be handling the Lone Druid. Both of these heroes are bottom. I don't imagine they'll both stay in the lane, though. Beat is going to be playing that Lion, and we'll place a bit of an aggressive ward towards the, or defensive ward towards the top lane. Sexy Bambo, the stand-in, will be handling that off-lane Darkseer this game. And last but not least, it will be Demon taking the TA solo mid, rushing the bottle.
Yeah, again, this just shows the versatility of these EG players. Don't matter really swapping the both back up.
Oh, Bambo! That courier was coming! Oh, man. Lumi, he almost coincidentally just ran into the Fnatic courier.
Yeah, but although, I mean, that's why No Tail was there to kind of zone him away. There's an Invisment being picked up. Bambo would really love to have that, but you know, he's not going to get it. One thing about Bambo is that he's often fairly underrated for his long lane play, and whenever I see Bambo play like maybe a Nature's Prophet or a Darkseer on the long lane, he never really loses the lane, and he's kind of like the big X factor during the mid game. He's one of those very underrated players, and I'm expecting him to show up big time here today in this best of 3 series.
Yeah, absolutely. I will never forget my one and only pub game playing with Bambo. He plays Darkseer, he goes off lane, He dies like 5 times, but every time he dies, it's 4 or 5 players on the enemy team ganking him. It takes literally everything they've got to bring him down, and when it's all said and done, the other 4 of us were just farming and pushing, and it's like, well, Bambo, why you feed? But then we win, and in the end, he had that impact. So Bambo player, you may see him die a lot, but he always makes his opponents work for it, and we'll see if he could do that this game.
Yeah, the courier has also made its way on the bot lane here. I'm not sure exactly what it delivered. Perhaps a couple of wards. Yeah, it dropped one, and then they're going to put the second one on the bot lane. Although this particular observe ward is going to see Trixie coming in. This is going to try his best to harass him away. But with Stout Shield and that Tango Risha, and Trixie's going to walk around and perhaps Ren get a kill as well. Beatus is getting a ton of harass, actually.
Finagling around. I think he wanted to cog Beatus there, but in the end, he will actually block off the double pull. So a nice little adjustment by him instead of blocking the main camp. But we'll see if Beatus can get this one dewarded. No sentries up on him. In fact, the one downside to EG's lineup, they haven't started with any sentries. A bit of a, something of a greedy draft where they're actually going to be running Fear as kind of this pseudo jungler gyrocopter. And it's not that the hero's a horrible jungler, although he needs some levels to really be effective, but it means nobody available to buy the sentries, and as a result, this Observer Ward is going to be a huge pain in the ass for EG.
Yeah, perhaps Fear's going to pick it up. He does definitely have enough gold for boosted speed. Maybe he's going to delay that a little bit and pick up the sentry instead. They need to upgrade that courier, though, because the Battle Crow race should be happening on the mid lane. Hani doing quite alright. In fact, he's leading in terms of CS, and Demon had a little bit of hotkey issue, really delayed on his own bottle. And, I mean, Stormstrait normally thought as a very, very poor solo mid. In fact, he's really, really good. You gotta ask Blitz and talk about how good Storm is actually against TA. I think he believes that Storm does beat TA, especially when he's pulled like this.
Well, you do have to play it correctly, though. You can't take unnecessary harassment from Sideblades like what we see now. Hani taking a ton of harass. Demon feeling more confident. Starting to find that groove, which he didn't have at the start, now up to 7-3. Hani at 11-2. At that, and well, towards the top lane where we're going to see Fnatic pushing the lane quite heavily. Bambo has been able to get some experience. It looks like maybe he disrupted the creep pull a little bit, and so both teams, defensive play off the bat. Let me looking at the gold graph, dead even, experience graph, dead even. You wouldn't expect otherwise. How do you feel about this sort of slow start to the game, and how do you think it might change?
Well, Darkseer on the top lane here, having a little bit of trouble, will survive, and I feel like Sexy Bambo is going to be the X factor. He's got his critical level of Surge at 2. If he didn't have Surge, he was dead right there. And because of that Surge, he's going to be able to get a ton of experience and a little bit of farm under that tower. You can see a No-Tail poking and trying to get that kill. He's not going to find it. If you look at his long lane counterpart on the other side, Trixie hasn't got a single point of experience. I think he might be picking up a tiny bit just now, but Beatus is doing a great job, not only through harassing him away, but also providing a ton of room for Fear to gain in terms of EXP. I imagine I'm not sure how Fear is going to blow through the jungle. I guess it's going to be doing flat cannon, but Rocket Barrage could also kind of clean up creeps very quickly.
Yeah, Rocket Barrage won't. You can finish 1 or 2 creeps. You can't really use it to efficiently farm. That's where the flat cannon comes in, because at the end of the day, when Rocket Barrage is being split between 3, 4, 5, 6 creeps, doesn't do a whole lot. But the flat cannon first, and then you can clean them up with it. So we'll see. Fear for the moment could tend to do a lot of pulling. As you mentioned, he has been stacking the big camp a little bit, and maybe it's something where they even rotate Bambo down here at some point, let him take that, and maybe send the Lone Druid up to the top lane when he hits level 6. We may see some lane movements from EG, and if they look to do that, Fear not really having a fast start because he's a jungle gyro at this point, and missing a couple last hits here and there, only sitting at 4-3, but I imagine what they're basically saying is, well, Fnatic are trading right now. They're doing a bunch of pulls and stacking and farming of their own, but they're doing it with a Nyx and a Keeper of the Light. We're doing it with a Lion and a Gyro. So if this keeps up, these heroes that we have scale better towards the late game, and they're going to smoke up, head towards mid.
Yeah, let's see if they're going to find that kill. They don't have that. Well, they do have it from the Lion, and very, very important to get that early kill on Hani. A simple Hex into Impale is all they really need, because the burst damage coming out from Fear is exceptionally powerful. And does he expect it? I don't think, just judging him from the movement, he doesn't. Yeah, he's going to be the first blood here. And if TA picks it up, this is going to be big-time goal for that Templar Assassin. He's balding up, but here comes Beatus. Hex, there's going to be, where's the Impale? There's the Impale. Who's going to pick up the last hit? Yes, Demon with that Metal Strike. So, very, very good, and somewhat of an expected gank here. And I got to say, if it was the Lions playing, they dodged that gank.
And, well, that being said, meanwhile, bottom lane, Jo finds a kill as well. So that's simultaneously 2 kills on the board. And Trixie, I imagine, got entangled to this bottom lane as Jo is now level 6. Won't take a point as ultimate, but with Storm having his own level 6 delayed, Jo probably doesn't need it. So EG off the bat, running what looks like a slightly greedy lineup, but doing something much like Dignitas, where you pick heroes that generally people see kind of farming and needing a lot of levels, and then you do the unexpected. You go for an early gank, and Fnatic caught unawares. They give up 2 crucial kills, and all of a sudden EG leading by about 1,000 gold, 1250 experience. And this is great for EG. They now have the Bear who can put, level 6, can put a ton of pressure on this bottom lane. He will get the tower last hit with the phase boots. And Trixie's only level 3. Trixie can't do anything. In fact, he gets rooted. He's probably dead. Phase boots on this Bear. He'll go down again. So Jo is going to find yet another solo kill. Meanwhile, middle lane, Demon going to get caught out and picked off. So Fnatic, they do find the trade. But if I'm EG, I'm pretty happy with the way this game is developing.
Yeah, Demon dying there is a little bit sad, but hey, that's absolutely fine. Of course, tower being taken down on the bot lane, and I think Demon's very happy by able to upgrade his phase boot already. He's gonna probably finish his magic wand, and soon the ganking could start if that's what he wants to do. Most likely, he's gonna sit on the mid lane and continue to harass Hani, and basically says Hani's missing or Hani's still here, so his teammates could adjust accordingly. For me right now, it's very, very important for Beatus to not fall behind in terms of level. Good start so far in terms of tunneling, jungling, as well as getting that gank on the mid lane. He's got to make sure that he hits level 6 in an apt time. And I got to say, probably 10 minutes in is where you want to hit level 6 on a jungling supporting line. And he's on good track right now, but look towards him to try to get a couple of kills or continue jungle hardcore.
Yeah, we'll see. For the moment, they have 3 heroes grouped up bottom. And, you know, the one great thing about that exchange earlier, and the thing that I think really tips it in the favor of EG, is when they got their kill, it was just Jo 1v1 against Clockwork. When Demon goes down mid, it takes 3 heroes rotating into the lane. So in the end, the investment that Fnatic had to make was much bigger. And the trade-off was Bambo. He got some extra golden experience in that top lane. Now they'll push bottom. Fear with those early single point flat cannon, and Jo with the phase boots, able to do a lot of work. But here comes a 3-hero smoke gank from Fnatic. They're actually going to circle back around mid as they see the back off comes, and Demon looks like he might be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, great smart gank. They're going to pull their refraction. It's going to be on top, but it's not going to be enough. A ton of nukes comes in.
He actually didn't get it off. He didn't have it up in the lane. Generally, when you're farming in lane as TA, you always want to have refraction up. That's what you see from Korok, is pretty much never leaves it down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess mana perhaps might have been the issue, but when you're bar crawling, that shouldn't be an issue either. I think Fnatic will still get that kill regardless of refreshing, because they had a ton of follow-up. Storm had a ton of mana left as well. But yeah, make him waste a little bit more mana. But I love that smoking, because generally you say, man, oh, looks like they're going to go one more time against Fear. Impale to follow through. Where is going to be the Illuminate? No Illuminate even necessary. The TP gets canceled here by the Lion, because he's the one important at that one. And suddenly, Hani and Fnatic is right back. 3 kill in the mid lane, and Storm definitely needed that one.
And meanwhile, there's an anti-mage that I don't think I've even shown on the camera for more than a second or two, because there's been a lot of action and pressure elsewhere. But Era getting free farm and trading free farm on a lone druid for an anti-mage, generally when you do this and you have the lone druid, the reason is that you go and push really, really hard, but Era's going to have one of the fastest Battle Fury timings possible. If he finds a kill, if he finds this tier 1 top, it'll be even quicker at that. I don't know if we'll get the tower, considering there's a Darkseer here, but with this level of farm, he will start to pull away from what EG has. No single one of their heroes will be able to keep up. And Luby, if we look forward towards the mid-game, you have a Clockwork, a Storm, and an anti-mage getting a lot of farm. So potentially, 3 heroes can jump in from out of nowhere, and then No-Tail can walk in invisible without being seen once he hits level 6. So for EG, they'll have to be very disciplined with their own vision and wards and avoid getting picked off, but it's going to be hard to do it because of the kind of lineup that Fnatic has.
Yeah, it also really comes down to positioning. It depends on who Storm jumps on. If he jumps on your Lion, for example, or your Gyrocopter, you're pretty much boned, because they do a ton of damage, but as an offset, they're very, very squishy. Meanwhile, if it's Templar Assassin or the Bear that gets jumped on front, they're tanky enough through their spells or natural HP growth that you allow your line, you allow the Gyrocopter to kind of counter initiate. So we'll see exactly how the support play. That's going to be what I'm going to be looking forward to, as we do see a couple of guys kind of going on the mid lane. Beatus trying to do a little bit of dewarding. He has that smoke, and I think it's going to be scattered out right now. Deward attempt, yeah, there you go from Fear. And they're going to fight over control here for this side of Vision. Like you said, Vision as well as positioning is very, very important in this game.
Yeah, because of the initiation range that Fnatic has. And the one thing I would like to see from EG is also a hill ward on the enemy hill. They did do a bit of dewarding. There was a Fnatic hill ward here previously, and if they could get one up, that would be great. But top lane is Bambo, who gets caught out a little bit. The Impale will be here mid-surge, and now looks to be in a world of trouble. There is a Mana Void. Will Era throw it out? Too tanky. Even with the Mana Void, even with that Mana Void doing max damage, at level 1, it doesn't actually hit that hard. It's only 0.6 as far as the ratio of how much mana you'll burn, considering how much he's missing. And at the end of the day, that would only be like 300 damage, which just wouldn't be enough to get sexy Bambo.
Yeah, 300 magical damage, which will get reduced. Right. So he was at 450 HP, so yeah, he was definitely fine. And good job by the anti-mage player, not blowing that one for free, because that thing does have a... You want to save that thing for that KS much later on. Hani bottles up a Illusion Rune, and my question is, why is he saving 1,800 gold? Could have been Arcane, could have been Quick Treads and working on his Oblivion Staffs, but what is this, a Butcher Travel or something like that? I mean, I wouldn't put it past Fnatic to do something crazy like that.
Storm really needs the mod. I imagine for Hani, he's just trying to decide if he wants to go Orchid or BKB this game. I mean, I don't think we'll see an early sight device. It's a game where Liquid Sphere could be okay. I mean, even Bloodstone's alright, but I think it really comes down to they need some utility and presence from this Storm Spirit, and the way you get that is going to be either a BKB so you're not hexed and impaled in the fights.
Butcher Travel!
It really? Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's Hani. Kind of like Merlini. He loves his Boots of Travel.
Like I said, I wouldn't put it past Hani. Like, he loves to have his mobility, Storm Spirit, and to be honest, I completely agree with you. He needs his intelligence and mana regen item. That's what you have to Keeper of Light for, perhaps. You know, just make him your mana item, sort of. And then he's going to be basically a big nuisance in every kind of map and setting up ganks. And I love the way that it's going to really complement his anti-mage, because when Stormster is ganking your entire team, you help your allies. You don't have time to gank that anti-mage, and ultimately, he's going to be the X-Factor that's going to carry the game. So I think by going Butcher Travel, he's buying room for Era, which is kind of smart.
Here comes that 5-man that I mentioned from EG, where they had a strong group up and push, but a lot of that was predicated on the early mechanism for Sexy Bambo, which he doesn't have, and the early cooldown for Fear, which he's about to get, but he's squishy enough that he could potentially die without getting off a good one in these fights, so they will look to pressure the tier 1 mid. Illuminate's going to come in, Armlet is complete on the Bear, and I guess that's why EG feel confident to push this, but looks like the trade will be there for Fnatic. They're going to do a lot of damage to the tier 1 top, and EG, well, they'll keep on going mid, but some heroes kind of lurking behind. In the end, with Bambo here now, it looks like they'll get the tower and no trade in sight, so good work by EG.
Yeah, very good rotation. The Darkster realized that he's not going to be doing anything mid, so might as well drag the crew wave a little bit back on top lane. Here comes the TP from Blue. That is a gyrocopter.
Oh, nice little juke there by Fear. If he gets impaled there, he's probably dead.
Yeah, if Anti-Mage wanted him, he would have gotten him, but maybe Anti-Mage...
That's a 12.5 minute Battle Fury for Era. Just want to point that out, Luby, because that's about as fast as it gets. With no First Blood, with no tower, you can't really do much better than that.
It doesn't matter too much as we see the gank coming on the bot lane here. Hani's going to zip away from the Maelstrike, but Demon follows, and Hani, out of mana at this point here, is walking away, but here comes Trixie with the rotation. He's going to be fine. Era still needs his treads. Once he has a tread, the farm train really will begin. And now he's slowly getting up there. I imagine he's going to have it around the 14:30 mark, which is the standard timing when you have a perfect farming anti-mage like this. Treads, Battle Fury, as well as a Quelling Blade.
So here's the thing, right? Oh, mid lane, Fly getting caught out. Will teleport away to Fountain just in the nick of time. Demon almost able to slice off his head, but not quite. Era farming those stacked up neutrals. He might go down to a cooldown. He will blink away just in the nick of time. But here's the thing about the Boots of Travel. Doesn't help you when they're 5-manning. Only helps you at ganking and counter ganking and split pushing. And when there's no opportunity to do that when EG are just grouped up as 5. And I don't know that whatever Hani could buy for that 2,000 gold would necessarily change the game, but a little bit of extra HP, a little bit of extra mana, sometimes it does make all the difference in these. And I feel like EG are just thoroughly punishing that. That's now 2 towers taken and a lot of pressure to the top tower as well. And really no trade at all for Fnatic.
Yeah, the only thing that Butcher Travel gives you in terms of a heads-up engagement is having the instant buyback and an instant teleport in, basically having that second life. So if he's going to be kind of predicting that that's how he uses Butcher Travel during a 5-man engagement, sure, that's still an okay item, but a teleport score gives you that too. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to knock on the item build because it's a fine item build. It's a different playstyle, and I'm not exactly sure whether it matches up against how EG is playing in this particular game right now.
That's sort of classic EG is whatever they draft, they do like to kind of group up and push relatively early. We saw a lot of that from them, even dating back to the International 2. And some games you'll see a different style, the Triple Midas that we saw in the last G1 League season. We've seen some unusual styles from them, but more than anything, I feel this is a team that really favors their 5-man Dota in the mid-game. So you shouldn't be surprised when EG goes for it. That being said, for Fnatic, they do lose the tier 1s, but now Era back to farming. A big neutral stack was stolen here by EG, so after the 2 towers go down, it's about a 3,500 gold lead for EG. Nothing overwhelming, and in fact, an experience lead going the way of Fnatic. So EG, I would say they're slightly ahead, but only slightly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Fnatic, you look at the Go map. Well, obviously they don't have it to their disposal. But if you're a Fnatic fan and you look at the Go chart here, you say, I like where Fnatic's position is at right now because they lost 3 towers, and that's why they're down by 3,000 gold. This is where Anti-Mage starts to explode out of control in terms of farm. He will overtake Jail's Lone Druid very, very easily. And if you allow him to farm for 10, 15 more minutes, this gold chart is going to swing the other way, whether or not Fnatic takes any tower. And that's definitely a scary dot. So, much like playing against the Phantom Lancer, EG is working against the invisible clock, and that might force them to play in a way that they might not be comfortable in, or they might be forced to make a couple of errors. Whatever the case might be, I think Fnatic is in a fantastic position, keeping all their tier 2 alive at this point.
I don't think that they're... I agree with you for now. I think they're fine with it because of how much farm is getting. So definitely agree with you there. My concern for Fnatic is they don't really have the best heroes later on. Heroes like a Clockwork, who isn't getting much farm, not really a great hero. At some point, he just becomes basically a hook and a cogs. If you're farmed, if you have an Aghanims, if you have a Mechanism, if you have a Hood, and you're very tanky, then Clockwork is a hero that can offer a lot in the fights. But with the amount of farm that Trixie's gotten, I don't feel this is going to be a very high-impact Clockwork later on this game, unless he somehow cogs away, say, the TA. But with minimal items, he may just die very quickly in spite of doing so, even get hexed and just fingered down for the word go. And then you look at Hani Storm, he could be a big impact hero, but then here's a Keeper of the Light, could easily just become food later on in this game. So we'll see. For Fnatic, I feel positioning is way more important for them than what you would expect it to be, considering they have the lineup that wants to jump EG, but the way the game's developing, it's really EG who could jump a lot of these Fnatic heroes with a Blink Dagger and Demon, with Bambo now having a mech, and quickly bring them down.
Yeah, there's level 6 on Beatus, and he's only got it about 17 minutes in, 16 and a half, and they're gonna smoke up trying to set up a gank. And if they find, well, they don't find anybody, so that's the big deal here. Yeah, you know, EG is playing in the group of Dota, they're trying to farm, and that's giving Anti-Mage a ton of room to work with. I gotta say, you know, Clockwork's not gonna have that impact, I completely agree, because he doesn't have too much item, but if he finds a lucky hook on the line, suddenly his job is done. So, looks like, Nyx Assassin will break that smoke. Sensual gets immediately dropped down, but just a little bit too slowly.
He dispelled.
And No-Tail's back.
Looks like he may have dispelled the smoke there. I'm not sure if it wore off before he got there, but definitely.
Yeah, he dispelled it.
Yeah, just a little bit slow on the Sentry Ward was Beat unfortunately. So, in the end, or not Beat Fear, I guess, had it. In the end, doesn't matter. They will look to push, and I don't really know what Fnatic does here. There's a root on No-Tail. Gets caught out. Look at him drop to that Armlet Bear. Now the Impale comes in. Down he goes. Jo cleans it up. They're working on the tower, and Fnatic not finding the trades either. And I still don't feel like they have very many do-shit heroes. There just aren't many heroes who can actually take fights this game.
At least not right now. Stormstrat trying to get up there. He's going to be going for Oblivion Staff #1. So far, Distribution Travel hasn't done anything except on saving him 2 or 3 teleport scroll worth of gold, which is not exactly investment you want at this stage of the game. He does have that regen being picked up, so maybe he's going to look towards a kill on the top lane. Jo is pretty low. And, well, he's rotating there, yeah.
Yeah, he's going towards an Orchid as Hani, and I imagine he'll have it at some point this game, but by the time he gets it, that's where TA is likely to have a BKB. Already the Ogre Club's picked up, there will be a zip-in. Ganking the Bear is Hani, any little bit of gold, so a creative item build, now a creative kill on the Bear, but not finding hero kills, and for me, the way this game is developing, Fnatic need 2 things. They need an incredibly fat Anti-Mage, and they need an incredibly fat Storm. I really just don't see the other 3 doing a whole lot with the amount of farm they're getting. Maybe if No-Tail gets a Blink, but even then, you're looking at a TA who's going to have a BKB soon, and at that point, I think it's just those 2 heroes. So, Hani can't really die, and he's got to get very fat. I mean, he gets this Orchid, he still needs a BKB before he can really contribute.
Yeah, definitely. Back in the mid lane, though, well, like you said, Clockwork is not going to be any big factor in this game, and that shows Demon easily could pick him off. And these 3 members of the team, the Keeper of the Light, the Clockwork, and Nyx Assassin, they have to play their hero basically to perfection. And I'm talking about, 3-man Impales, I'm talking about 2-man Cogs, things of that nature, because they're under-farmed, they're under-level, and against the relatively even more balanced farm of EG, who has a lot more tower gold to work with, so their supports are relatively more farmed, they're going to have a tough time being on parity in terms of item and as well as levels.
And it's really crucial that the supports have the levels and farm, because this is a game where Fnatic's lineup really loves to just jump in and burst you down. Heroes like Nyx Assassin, Stormspear, Clockwork, we'll see a bunch of teleport scrolls to the bottom lane. Jay's going to get caught out, but there are 3, 4 heroes coming now. Era really needs to run. He will blink out. No-Tail now on the run as well. That was 5 heroes all trotting down to the bottom lane in the end. We'll see the last teleport complete. And Fnatic get out, so they force out 5 TPs, and this is not really where EG wants to be, with nothing much to do here, as there's no tower to push. So a small little victory for Fnatic, but tanky supports, they don't die to this combo. I mean, they don't die to a Clockwork Hook, they don't easily die to a Storm Zip or a Nyx gank, and that means it's only really the anti-mage that's going to be doing a whole lot in terms of, you know, farming and maybe finding kills. So I think it's very important they have this early goal, but in spite of that, game's still pretty close, Lumi. We're looking at a 3,500 gold lead for EG and a 2,500 experience lead for Fnatic, so by no means is the game over. It's just a very kind of odd game to me, the way it's developing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the net worth between the Lone Druid as well as Anti-Mage is down behind, what, 60, 50 gold, 100 gold max, and the team is down behind in terms of 3 or 4 towers, so comparatively, Anti-Mage's farm is off the roof, and it's going to continue to be like that, so, and it's going to grow out of control sooner or later.
And if they win a couple fights, they get those towers, suddenly Era's 3, 4, 5k gold ahead.
Yep, so I don't think Fnatic's out of it despite losing all these towers. This is very reminiscent of like 2010's Chinese Dota, where like you could have all the towers you want. We're gonna just have the bigger carry, the better carry, and we're gonna win the late game.
They're gonna zip in now.
Here for JL, the Blink's on cooldown a little bit. Here come, and they're gonna focus on JL. Where's the Monovoid? They're gonna get that kill for sure. Monovoid.
He got bashed. He's getting bashed. He's still getting bashed. He's almost dead. He will blink away in the end. Dahani on the run. He's gonna get bashed as well. The bash Lord JO. Oh man, what a diabolical genius he is. That was a lot of bashes. That is probably more bashes than he deserved, but he gets them, and Fnatic are denied. And they lose Hani on top of that.
Wow, they should have got that kill. They should have got out alive because the Storm Anti-Mage. Not only did that not happen, well, the goal went the other way. And, well, if you want to look back at the net worth, now the Lone Druid hitting a little bit of a bigger lead than he was enjoying before. So, yeah, it's, you know, a pretty lucky escape because those bashes are coming strong and fast. But Era's going to find himself another big creep wave. His entire team is basically giving him almost every single creep wave, and he is really starting to become out of control. He's going to have Manta Style in about 3 or 4 minutes finished.
It's a game where you need more than Manta Style. I feel it's a game where you probably lean towards that BKB Butterfly build, simply because if you get hexed and there's a Lone Druid and a TA, I don't think it matters if you have a little bit of extra HP from a heart. Those heroes have enough physical damage to bring you down, so he'll get this Manta, he'll be able to push faster, but Era's by no means farmed enough to go and fight reliably in the 5v5s. He'll have to get those next set of items, the BKB, the Butterfly, I think being the ideal combo. Otherwise, Lion Hex will probably spell your doom, and EG, they go into the Roche pit. I don't really think Fnatic can fight this. This will just be a free Roche going to EG.
I completely agree. You talked about how Era can't fight right now. He might try. No, he's going to just flat out teleport top. Templar Assassin has already picked up the Aegis. Man, they did that in record time. And of course, having a Maelstrom max at this stage of the game and having Lone Druid on top, you definitely could do it very quickly. So EG will use the momentum and perhaps even push up to a high ground. Meanwhile, though, Storm Spirit as well as Anti-Mage pushing multiple lanes and trying to get that split pushing going on.
Era was... he really should have been pushing that bottom lane. They knew they were at Roche. They saw the traps being dropped up on the high ground, and pretty much the only reason you're doing that is if you're in the Roche pit, you want to get a little bit of vision. It was clear that Fnatic had the sense that they were there, because they had 4 heroes kind of clumped up around the pit, trying to spam a little bit of Illuminate. Could have easily gotten to tier 1 bottom and at least gotten the trade, push the lane out. Instead, he doesn't push the lane, and now EG are just bearing straight down mid.
He's too afraid. Beatus already has his Blink Dagger at this point of the game. It's not exactly a 17-minute blink, but with the initiation, like you said, they could easily bring him down. He's sitting at 900 HP, so it's
well, you see him
on paper.
You see him TPing in, you just run away, I feel. So, I mean, well, either you think they're Roche or they're not.
Yeah, no, they're going to come from backstabbing on the Roche pit. Blink and Hex, you're dead, right? I don't think at this stage of the game, sure, you could get that tier 1 tower and earn your team a little bit more gold, but if you make a mistake, you lose the game right then, because they're going to just barrel down mid like they're doing right now, and you're down either a buyback or you're down your anti-mage gold for 30-40 seconds, so, you know.
They'll recall him back, they'll look to fight here mid, the bear actually dies, and EG not able to quite break into this base yet, so
Look at him on top lane.
Illuminate does his work, Hani now gonna zip away, not really the best zip, but he will get just far enough away and be able to TP out, and in the end, EG forced back. Didn't find the opening to use that Blink Hex initiation. There will be a haste run for Demon top. EG, well, they get the Aegis, and now they look to push, but not quite able to do it. The chase going the other way. Blink in from No Tail, catches out Fear. This could be the death of Fear, so Fnatic playing Bend but don't break Dota, and finding the openings. Now Beatus comes in, but wasn't the right time. Will finger Era, and look at Era just melt, even with 3 points in spell shit. He still loses nearly all of his health. Now Demon Gonna be taking a lot of damage out of mana. Hani drips in. Hani zips away. And in the end, Fnatic will be forced back, but they get the 1 kill on the gyro. Now they might lose more, though. There's the Cogs from Trixie. Not really the best Cogs. Actually putting Fly into harm's way, and also potentially his teammates, too. Fly is gonna go down, even with the Bloody Light, even with his Ghost Scepter. It won't matter. He'll fall, and that's I think in some ways that's worse than anyone else on this team dying, because without him, they can't stop the push.
Yeah, but I gotta say, very, very good play by Fnatic. They are being pressured down so much on the mid lane. They actually done more damage to the tier 3 towers compared to EG. If you look at a tier 3 up on the top lane, it is a lot lower. And of course, here comes EG roaring back. They need Kato. Kato's dead for 10 seconds. And it's up to Cogs, it's up to Impales, and they're doing it just that. Making this push a lot more annoying than it, well, they're still defending. Demon is out of mana at this point here.
There's no, if this bear dies, it's dead for 30 seconds, and EG gonna be forced back yet again. Fear just trying to farm up a BKB bottom lane to keep that lane pushed in, and good news is Anti-Mage isn't farming, but as soon as they back off, Arrow will go right back to it, up to 1,300 gold. I feel if he gets a BKB and a Butterfly, EG are gonna have a very, very difficult time dealing with him.
Yeah, I say Era pick up either a Vid Booster right now or an Ogre Club, depending on what he wants to go, either BKB or Heart. And suddenly, he becomes a very difficult kill. I mean, last fight they dropped a Milk Strike, an Impale, and a Finger, and he was able to blink away. And suddenly, you're either committing a ton of nukes and kind of right click on him, and he's most likely even going to survive through that. Or if you don't actually commit all these nukes to him, he's going to blink to your backline and start tearing up heroes like Darkseer, Line, as well as that Gyrocopter. So it feels like a lose-lose situation on EG, and they're winning in terms of go right now. Meanwhile, up in the top lane here, Hani, it is just playing with them right now. Sure, he's not getting a kill, but more importantly, EG's not getting anything done. They're not getting structural damage.
They might now. 5 grouped up, looking for a kill. Fly's gonna get caught out potentially here. Demon lurking on the backlines. He's got a BKB. There's your zip in from Hani. He does find one. Demon now trying to go to work on Trixie, but the Cogs preventing him from doing a whole lot. Arrow with the double kill, and now chasing. Hunty Bambo, who's out of mana. This could be 3 dead in a matter of seconds. It will be. The Impale is there. And when it's all said and done, everybody melts. Demon just never really found a good opening to go in. Didn't pop his BKB, didn't lose the Aegis, so there's that for EG, but this Gyrocopter for Fear just not able to do a whole lot in the fights, and in the end, Fnatic just had the better initiation.
Yeah, positioning is everything. Like I said before, if your line gets to cast every single one of his spells during a team fight, you're having a good team fight. If your line dies before he casts anything, well, it's not too good. That's showing off the power of the Anti-Mage with the Manta style. He blinked in, immediately popped Manta, and just with 3 swipes alone, line was dead. I think he was pretty low in terms of HP to start with Storm's been in focusing on him as well. So with Lion out of the picture, who's going to stop Anti-Mage? Who's going to stop the Storm? And they basically easily took away 2 or 3 kills, and that bought Era more time to farm. And if you look at the go chart now, well, it's going down. It's going down. Era really taking the lead now in terms of net worth, as well as the level, as well as the inventory. And it's not going to stop anytime soon either. That's the scary thing if you're EG. How do you deal with this AM now?
It's going to be tough, and they're getting that very fat Storm Spirit and Anti-Mage, the pairing they needed, and in that fight, the Cogs were very effective versus Demon, so to some extent, maybe I stand corrected with that one, is they prevented Demon from doing anything, more or less. He got cogged, he got pushed away, didn't even kill off the Clockwork in the end, and EG will look to push down the middle lane again, but I don't feel it's any easier this time, as Fnatic have accrued more items, more levels, and haven't really lost any structural HP, like you mentioned.
Here's the thing, though. If they kill Era right now, because he just picked up the Reaver, he doesn't have buyback. No, it's looking close. I think when Anti-Mage dies, he'll lose a chunk of yeah, he won't have buyback though. So maybe Anti-Mage says, screw that, not gonna defend right now. Even if you get the racks, we don't want to lose the game straight up right here. And of course, his allies doing an excellent job in terms of delaying this for as long as possible. If they get that tier 2 tower on the bot lane, Anti-Mage will have buyback and look towards him to taking a very aggressive fight. Demon is going to get initiated on Demon, out of mana, out of HP at this point right now. As Anti-Mage going to come in, he blinks to the backline, start doing work. He's focusing on B, this worst of mana void. He doesn't want to waste it right now. Era's still chasing a long time for the kill. He's going to find it, and suddenly EG's on full retreat. Anti-Mage blinks back, but guess what? Tower is very much so successfully defended. No, actually, Demon was doing so much work. He's got the melee racks.
He got the melee racks. He did lose the Aegis, but didn't actually lose his life. And in the end, they will back off. I don't think it's a 1-Rex game, though. For me, this is 30 minutes in. You've got an Anti-Mage who's going to have 2 big items soon in the Manta and the Heart. And then, of course, your farming item in the Battle Fury. And I don't think Fnatic are out of it. I don't think they necessarily got enough to give up the racks, but it wasn't a horrible trade, all things considered. So EG, they'll definitely be happy to take that racks, make no mistake about it, but the game isn't over. If Era can get that next item or two, then all of a sudden, I don't think EG really have a way to deal with him, aside from maybe a clutch Darkseer wall.
I didn't like Era's chasing on the Beatus right now. You basically, if you stick the 2 Manta Illusions on him, he can't really come back to the team fight. I felt like he should have been focusing on Demon. I thought Demon did not have Aegis there, and that's why when he dropped really low, I thought he was dead and the racks would be protected. In fact, it was completely the otherwise as he responded with Aegis and the Rax was dead. So I feel like maybe Era dropped the ball a little bit. Again, like you said, the game's not over by any stretch of the imagination. That mid lane of Rax means basically nothing at this point because they could easily repel that big wave. The only thing it means is that Stormster isn't farming as much or Anti-Mage isn't farming as much whenever they hit that mid lane for creep. So
a bit of a secret mission here for Fnatic. 4 heroes brought into the bottom lane, Fly able to recall Era in, and well, he's got the buyback now. If they find a couple kills, suddenly he's got a heart and probably the makings of a Talisman of Evasion on top of that. So he'll go tanky with this item, and for the moment, EG looking for an opening, not finding it. And Fnatic just going to do a little bit of farming. And mid lane, it'll be the Blake Hacks catching out Hani, who will get caught and brought down quickly. No escape, and that means his BKB that he desperately needs will be delayed. In fact, well, no, he didn't quite have it yet, but he basically had the Mithril Hammer there. So a crucial death, and we'll have to see if EG can get anything off of this. Roche is coming up soon, but won't be quite soon enough for them to really punish that death.
They gotta be very careful about pushing this because Stormster has buyback, and not only that, he has a double damage in his bottle. That alone could really be a big impact in this fight. Let's see when Hani will make that buyback. Imagine he will. Unless they say, alright, you can have the range racks. It's not really something that we want to fight over. Definitely, if not, we have to buy back for it. So they're going to give it up for free. And Stormster will reserve his buyback goal for now.
Era, heart complete. No buyback on him, but it will be coming just about any moment. Up to 1,057 gold required for that. And after a couple jungle camps, he should have it, even when you factor in the death taxes. He doesn't have quite enough reliable gold to assure it, so he'll continue farming, but it's like we talked about, eventually Era's just going to pull ahead, and for EG, the solution to that is either to end the game early or to have multiple heroes that incredibly farm, but the items that we see coming out on Demon and Jo, I just don't feel are going to be enough to deal with the fat anti-mage. Jo, he's got his Basher up, that's nice. The Armlet as well, good, solid fighting items, but these items will not allow you to deal with an anti-mage who's got a Heart, a Manta, and a Butterfly, and that will be the next item on the agenda for Era. Once he gets those 3, EG, if they lose a fight and give up Aegis to Era, I think Fnatic just goes straight down mid, takes the tier 2, and looks towards Rax. So, EG, I feel this is a game where can't really lose a big fight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if EG gets really lucky, and I'm talking about maybe Templar Assassin, getting some big crits off his Chrysalis or Daedalus later on, or getting some very key bashes or roots on Anti-Mage, you have a shot of killing him, but you can't really prey on things like that. And yeah, he's in his 2,500 HP, a ton of armor, a ton of magic resistance. And that's not counting in the eventual evasion that's going to be coming from Butterfly as well.
There's one way to kill him, and that's the Hex. If they can Hex him and isolate him and burst him with Meld and crits, like you mentioned, you got a bash there, then maybe they could bring him down, because Era hasn't gone BKB, but I do feel if he gets the Butterfly, even if he just wants to go back into a BKB, I think it's a game where a late BKB is definitely worth it. You'll often see if you skip the BKB early, you don't bother with it later, but I don't think this is a game where getting a late BKB would be a mistake by any means, and they'll go into Roche for EG, getting a tier 2. I like this trade for Fnatic, as long as they get this Roche and get back to base quickly.
Yeah, they're actually bringing it at a very good time. Anti-Mage probably going to drop that Crawling Blade, or maybe you give it to Hani. I think Hani may be the better option here, as Era is so tanky, and Hani definitely can appreciate that second life. Here comes the quick siege. It's going to be Anti-Mage that picks it up and look towards him playing ultra aggressive. Blink Impel here on the bear. Take away that bear's life. That's exactly what Fnatic is going to be trying to do.
Trixie gets called out.
Trixie, double Meld Strike here, and looks like they're going to get that very quick kill. Does he have buyback? Yes, he does. Anti-Mage comes in, and they're going to focus on Jay, a big vacuum here. Anti-Mage, huge Mana Void's going to get 1 kill immediately, but Eros taking a ton of damage. Demon, though, he's out of HP. Big Finger of Death is going to seal the deal, but Demon's dead. Clockwork Hook comes in here against Fear. Fear's going to be dead soon after as well, and Anti-Mage is chasing for more. They see Beatus, and they're going to kill Beatus. So after multiple buybacks, they defend their racks, and more importantly, they pick up multiple kills alongside. They were very, very costly buyback, but I think they were very well worth.
It was only one buyback. It was only the Clockwork. Definitely worth it. Era, he does lose the Aegis, but now up to a Butterfly. Or, not a Butterfly, but an Eagle song coming soon if he wants to go for that. And he didn't die. He's 4-0-4 this game. He's now sitting on 312 CS. Era is only getting fatter. And for EG, the item progression is starting to grind to a halt, and those deaths are not going to do much to change that. In that fight, though, we did see that EG can kill Era. He's not out of the woods yet. He got hexed. He took a bunch of meld damage. The other thing was he was kind of running back and forth. It seemed like he wasn't sure if he wanted to fight Demon or run, and in the end, he did end up sacrificing the Aegis. So maybe not the most smooth control of the anti-mage in the fights, but having the Aegis, it was definitely enough. I still think Era is killable, but it just takes him really getting caught out, and I think in that case, he knew he might die. He's fine with it. He jumps in, he blows the Aegis, EG are forced to fight, forced to focus him, and then the cleanup crew comes. So now your BKB's up on Hani. Now you have another hero who's virtually impossible to kill.
Yeah, he's killable now, but he also has 3k gold in the bank, and there's a courier flying to him. Is it going to be... No, just a teleport scroll. I was thinking of a talisman evasion. Once Butterfly's up on him, I mean, is he even killable at that point? Unless you get those, you know, procs and
maybe he's got to die during Hex. That's where they can kill him. When the evasion's removed, you'll have 4 seconds to try and bring Era down. It's not that EG can't kill Era, it's just a lot harder for them to kill him than it is for him to kill them. So we'll see how this game develops from here. But right now, EG, they tried to force the push top, and they gave up the Aegis in the process, and they knew they were doing it too. I think maybe they thought they could push fast enough to draw Fnatic back and prevent them from roshing, or at least get the base while Fnatic's trading for an Aegis. But in the end, the trade just wasn't there, and you gotta say, in retrospect, for EG, that's not a good trade for them. Now Fnatic grouped up 5 heroes bottom looking to push this lane in, and for EG, the lane creep equilibrium is starting to become a real issue for them. Keeper of the Light can always push out one lane. Fnatic, or Era, sorry, another. And although it does feel like a game where Anti-Mage might just end up being the team in terms of the late game, but Team Fnatic at that. And they can keep the lanes pushed in, and I feel if it goes later and later, EG are going to have a lot more trouble.
Yeah, it's funny how you brought up the lane equilibrium. It's the Radiant that is leading in terms of the mid-racks, but when you have things like Illuminate spam, Rocket spam, Storm Spirit with the Booty Travel of all things, and of course, the good old Anti-Mage, it is so damn hard to actually get any kind of leeway. As I say that though, the mid creeps did gain the momentum to push into the tier 4 towers, but now that Anti-Mage is back, yeah, the creep wave is going to get pushed out here as well. It's getting tougher and tougher here for EG for them to do any kind of big push, because when they push, it's always down a big lane with 5 people. They don't have the same mobility that the Radiant or the Dire has. They can't really split push as effectively and as safely. Definitely not against the Stormster with the Butcher Travel. So it's really tough for EG to make any kind of comeback, I feel, because the only way they can push is down the mid lane or down one particular lane. It's very easy to see it coming. You could have more than enough time to prepare for it, and it gives your anti-mage a ton of room to do this. Push out one of the other lane, farm the jungle, go for a gank. I just think that EG is getting outmaneuvered. We'll
see. I'm almost of the opinion right now that maybe it's better for EG to just try and take it really late. Let Fear start farming some big items. Let Demon get his data list complete, get even the next item beyond that. Maybe go for a smoke gank here or there, but you are leading by 1 lane of Rax, so eventually that Aegis will expire, and they are still getting a decent amount of farm out of the map. They're only down by 4,000 gold, and as far as experience, they're down a lot, but 1 or 2 big fights can turn the game. So I think EG, if it goes late enough, will be in decent shape with the Darkseer giving them potentially a big anti-mage of their own at that. So I wouldn't say they're out of it. They'll also be looking at a Scythe Device coming soon on Sexy Bamboo. It might just be a game where even though there's almost a 6-slotted anti-mage at some point, he's got 6 slots. Can't really do any more from there, and then maybe it's an opportunity for EG to take it, 20, 30 minutes from now. But for the time being, Era is king.
Blink X from Beatus, Impale, Finger, call down. Every spell's gotta drop. He's gonna Manta, he's gonna blink out. That's 3 or 4 ultimates being used, and Trixie, what are you doing, my friend? Era's gonna get stunned because Trixie called him in. He's gonna blink out just fine because the mech is there. Fear, however, out of mana. He's gonna back off. And, hook back in here. Are they going to really get
Bamboo getting caught out. Taking some damage, and now it's Hani who zips in. Looks to go on Jo. Jo's dropping fast. There's your root. Onto Era. He doesn't have the Manta Style. Doesn't need it. They drop a gem as well. The chase now goes the other way. No tail. Hunting Bamboo. We'll find him with the Impale. We need a little bit of a body block. A zip. A cogs. And down he'll go. 3 heroes dead. EG really wanted to force a fight, and boy, did they pay for that. And now Fnatic, 6.4k gold up on the anti-mage. It will be Hani who teleports home. Can be recalled back into the fight after he heals at the base. Love the decision to send him right back. And Fnatic, they're looking for 1, possibly 2 lanes of Rax of their own. No buyback on the Lone Druid. No buyback, or there is buyback on the Darkseer, but I don't know if it'll be enough. Maybe forced to do it now. The glyph comes out. There's a zip. They're just going to man up on Fear. Or maybe beat his. That's the area they want to focus. Hani drops quickly. He will die. Does he buy back here? That's the big question. They might need him to fight. They're working on the tier 3. Era's going to eat a stun. Now he'll cop some additional damage from Demon. The Melt Strike does absolutely nothing. Barely even scratches him, and it must have been because there was a blinding light there. Now Demon gets caught. There's No Tail. Finds him with the Impale. Brings him down with the Blink combo, and they're looking at 1 lane of Rax. EG, with those additional deaths, might even have just given up 2.
Yeah, the 1 lane of Rex means a lot more here for the Dire team, as they were playing behind, mostly from behind from the, I want to say the most of the entire game. They also split push a lot better, so the
3 hero Impale! Oh my goodness, this is bad! Fear dropping low. Illuminate comes through. 2 heroes dead. Demon trying to fight his way out, but I don't know, man. That's a double buyback on your TA, your Darkseer, and they didn't get anything aside from a Nyx kill. Fnatic just finding the better trades, and they even want some more. Another Blink! 3 hero Impale! No Tail with this hero. Nyx. Now Sexy Bambo in trouble. He'll drop quickly. Demon hanging out at the throne, not able to do a whole lot while this is happening. Looks like the tier 3 top did go down. A bash on Hani. Did he actually just get... Maybe not. Must have been some sort of visual glitch, but seemed like he was stunned there for a second on the illusion, and in the end, well, he'll run away, but they expose the racks. They get forced out those buybacks from EG, and you got to call that a fantastic trade. Well, Hani dies, but I think still something Fnatic are very happy with. Yeah,
it doesn't mean much that Hani picked up value. He did buy back, though, so let's keep that in mind, showing off the power to Breach of Travel in that particular engagement, so... It's all good, though. Here's the thing, though. In that last team fight, they blew everything on Era. I'm talking about the gank that started all the way back in the bot lane at the tier 2 tower. And they couldn't get that kill on the anti-mage. Anti-mage eventually cleaned up. Now he has a butterfly and buyback on top of that. And of course, they're up that 1 Rax, and as I was trying to say throughout that hectic team fight, this Rax means a lot more for Fnatic because they have the mobility split push. It is so much more difficult for EG to ever leave the base now, compared to the 1 Rax that they had earlier against Fnatic, simply because Fnatic could easily defend that.
At the end of the day, Era's really fat. He might be too fat to fail. He's now got money for Boots of Travel buyback. He could buy another tier 4 item if he wants to go towards the Abyssal Blade. Obviously, he will save for buyback, but even with that factored in, he'll start getting those next items in the next 3 to 4 minutes at the rate he's farming. And like you said, they can keep the lanes pushed in for EG. Maybe they try smoke gank here and there, but if they don't find a kill or 2, they just have to back right away. And even if they do, they probably have to back anyway. So EG now in a very awful strategic position, and I'm not sure if that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, unless this game goes for 20 more minutes where, like you said, you finish the Scythe of Vice where the Lone Druid gets basically a 6th slot, Fear gets 6th slot, as well as Demon gets 6th slot, then you have a shot. But I don't think the game will last that long for Fnatic.
Yeah, I don't know if that Scythe device is coming. He had to buy back, so now only sitting on 1,700 gold. Bambo, he already had the Mystic Staff a good 4 or 5 minutes ago, but with that buyback, not able to get it. And now the farm really grinds to a halt for them. And the other issue is, if anyone gets caught by the anti-mage, they probably die to him solo. If anyone gets caught by the Storm +1, they probably die to those 2. And of course, if it's anti-mage Storm, they can take 2 or 3 heroes with ease. So EG can't really farm the map any longer. Not when Era's got the butterfly when he's sitting on buyback and 5.3k. And Fnatic, they should have the map control advantage. They should have the farming advantage. And in theory, EG can take this if it goes ultra late game. But that's something that Fnatic should easily be able to prevent from happening.
Yeah, I just want to remind our viewers, about 30 minutes ago, or maybe 25 minutes ago, we saw Storm Spirit get a Breach of Travel. We saw somewhat of a very, very greedy build coming up from the support. They were trying to get a ton of EXP instead of maybe warding as much or helping out the rest of the team. It just ultimately works out fine for their limit. They know they're being greedy, but they know what they could get away with. And
here comes.
Right now, here comes Beatus trying to blink in. He's got to be very careful. They want to sneak the Roshan. Storm comes here for Beatus. They want to get him dead. Where the hell is the zip here? Hani making some crucial mistake, wasting a ton of mana, and more importantly, time. They do eventually get that kill, but meanwhile, can EG get anything done?
Hook isn't going to connect, and now No Tail jumps in, looking for an Impale. It is on cooldown at the moment. There's your Mana Void. Picks up one. Now Jo on the run. Trixie trying to find potentially a Cogs, but unfortunately everyone's too far away. But they're not too far away for Era, who's just bearing down. He does get slowed by the cooldown, but he'll blink forward. He looks for a little bit of a body block. I think he just sliced and dice here. He's looking to slam jam, but he does get rooted. That's what happened to Hani in the last fight, by the way. He got rooted as well, and, well, the chase continues. Jo all the way back to the fountain. Hani finds Demon while this is all happening. Now No-Tail gets rooted. The Bear taking a lot of damage. They just driven them back to the base, and no creeps here. I wonder if they can even backdoor through this with the Butterfly and the anti-mate. They may try to do it. Actually, creeps on the bottom lane, so there is no backdoor protection, and the Rex are exposed anyway, and they're looking at 2 lanes of Rex, easily Lumi, possibly even 3 lanes of Rex.
Yeah, I don't think that the Radiant team could come back from this, especially with not against this fat of an anti-mage. Another 7,000 gold on AM, so he has a buyback, he has a boot to travel TP back in, and he could pick up a decent sized item at that while doing so. So, yeah, this game is pretty much over. Gonna call it that.
Yeah, I can't really fault you for doing that. And on top of that, if they want to go back, take that Roche, they certainly can too. And for EG, you gotta say, they just needed to back, man. I mean, they saw that Fnatic were in the area, and they still tried to jump into the Roche pit. Demon jumped in, and it was just kind of a clusterfuck going, unfortunately, against them at that point, and they just got themselves into a situation where they couldn't really escape. And that's really the beauty of what Fnatic has drafted, where if you overextend, you can't run. Anti-Mage, Storm Spirit, Clockwork, perfect heroes, and a Blink Dagger Nyx to chase you down.
Yeah, I wonder if EG maybe thought the anti-mage was in the pit doing Roshan. Maybe they wanted to basically kill him quick when he was tanking Roche, get the Roche himself, and then get a big turnaround. But Era wasn't in there, and they kind of just blinked and died. So maybe it was just a big risk, big reward play, and it kind of failed. I think
that's what it... At the end of the day, they felt they were in a dire situation, and now they certainly are down by about 12k gold, 25k experience for whatever that's worth at this stage of the game, and they tried to make something happen. They tried to force the issue, not able to do it. Now Era sitting on an Abyssal Blade. No buyback actually ready. I imagine he'll farm that before they take any kind of a fight.
Yeah, he has a ton of time to work with, and I don't imagine that he'll get found by Beatus anytime soon. So, yeah, this game, with Abyssal backup, they could just blink in, kill the line instantly, and suddenly without the line, they just don't have enough reliable stun to deal with Era, and that the heart as well as the evasion from Butterfly will just clean through. And yeah, it's very, very kind of elementary at this point here, waiting for Fnatic to make that one big push.
We'll see if they can find that push, continuing to farm the jungle as Era will now blink back towards the middle lane, and they'll keep all the lanes pushed in, and at this point they can do it easily. They've got 2 lanes of Rex in the middle lane. That's the one lane you have to push out. That's the one lane where you need Rex anyway. They'll just barrel right down, and as soon as they have that buyback on Era, there's really nothing between them. And they've given Aegis and Cheese to Hani, so he's got 3 lives in this fight as well, and that's a scary thing, plus a double damager and picked up, and 5k gold, so he's also got a buyback to his name. It has come off cooldown since that last fight, so 4 lives. Call it 4 lives for Hani. If you can't win this game with 4 lives on your Storm and a 6-slotted anti-mage, then, I mean, call it either the most miraculous comeback of all time or the biggest throw of all time, whatever it turns out to be, but it ain't gonna happen. Fnatic, they push down the middle tier 2, Hani lurking on the high ground. Fnatic, it's just a simple matter of smacking the racks a few times.
Oh, he's gonna smack a couple of creep wave while doing so, because you gotta take care of that GPM, you know? Look towards them to make a little bit of a hut farming later on. You gotta hit those buildings.
It's easier to push into the base when you have creeps inside of their base in all 3 lanes, and you know, you get a little bit of extra vision. It kind of constricts where EG could be, and you know, it's a little, unless they're smoke ganking, they're not gonna be coming around from the side, so I think it's fine for Fnatic to slow roll it, play it safe like this, and really, what is EG doing during this time? It's not like they're farming much, because these lanes that are pushing in, well, they don't give you much gold, and Hani just kind of toying with these zips here and there.
Yeah, Era doing slowly work on that tower. Tower's still at 4 HP, so with the bear up in the front line, I guess Era always respecting the fact that he could get rooted or even worse bashed, and I think he could do about that one, so...
I think it's almost okay if he does, because he should have boots to travel buyback, really. Maybe you farm that and then you go for the push, but outside of that, I just don't see any issues where they can lose a fight and be in a lot of trouble. Hani's got 4 lives. I need to repeat that. This Storm Spirit has 4 lives in the upcoming team fight. And boots of travel or recall to return to the fight instantly.
He's like halfway to a cat, man. Almost.
He's over halfway, actually. Well, we'll see if they go. Hani, kind of think about it. That was a lot of traps being detonated. It will slow down Fnatic, but they're actually just going to decide to attack this problem from a different angle. They'll walk up the bottom lane and look to kind of chip away. Do they go straight for the tier 4s? I think you just take the mid-racks, but they're kind of unsure of how they want to close this one out. Maybe worried about a blink and pale, and in the end it will be Era who just says, screw it, I'm going to hit the tower a few times, then I'll back off. And I feel he could have been doing that this entire time, but they're playing it very safe. This is a crucial match. It's the G1 League Western Qualifiers, and the winner of this best of 3 is literally 1 best of 3 away if they win that winner bracket finals from going to the LAN finals. So Understandable caution. They will look to engage now. Era's top lane. He's not pushing mid. A big vacuum. Catches out two. Demon doing a ton of damage. Hani, he's got 4 lives. He may have to start spending them now. He might need to pop the cheese. He will do so. He finds the lion. He gets out. Era shows up very late. Could just be hitting the tower. He'll go back for the tower now. The Manta-style illusions have been deployed. They'll zip in on Bambo. They'll look to bring him down. He gets chopped up. And now slammed and jammed. And Demon next in line with the bashes. With the power of that Abyssal Blade proc, actually, he finds the kill. They still haven't gotten the 3rd lane of Rag. Now Era, the anti-mage illusion created by Bambo being used against him. He will be forced to blink away. Jo back into the fight, zipping here and there, but getting focused. Era will go down. Does he have the Boots of Travel buyback? He does. Now Hani, despite having all those lives, he dies too. It's 4 heroes dead. He had 3 lives. He blew through 3 of them, Luby. And while he does have the buyback, they actually didn't get the mid-Rex. That fight was probably one of the worst attempts to end a game I've ever seen.
What the hell was Fnatic doing? Just hit the damn Rex, guys. Defense of the Ancients, not killing Hero 2.
Are they in trouble now? That's the question. How many?
No, they're okay. Well,
there's
just pinging at the throne.
Well, they want to try it. They want to force multiple buybacks or take the throne. If Fnatic aren't going to do anything, and we'll have to see if they're able to. They do have a great base demolition squad with now the Assault Caress. It's been up on Trey, I imagine, for a while at this point, but been kind of a frantic game in the last couple of moments. So either way, they'll go straight for the tier 4. Anti-Mage going to have to buy back. Storm going to have to buy back, and now if you're EG, you just get the hell out if you can. There's a hook, though. Jo going to get caught. He won't be able to run. He doesn't have buyback if he goes down here, and it looks like he will. Now the huge fight breaks out. Demon going to work, trying to find the openings, but just can't do enough damage as BKB will be running out soon. Now Era jumps in, slicing everyone up. He's actually losing this man fight for just a second, but then he finds the bashes. He gets the kill. Still hasn't used his Abyssal Blade. Another hook. Once again, it's Trixie catching out Fear. Fear will fall. That's 4 dead. That's going to be a team wipe, and at long last, Fnatic is going to end a game, it looks like, that probably should have been over about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, return triple kill coming out, and Era still has... Well, Storm has 5k go. Era's...
Yeah, there's no buybacks on EG, so really, if they just push down mid, it's game.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing right now. I don't think Fear by himself could defend this, and finally, this game is going to come too close.
Gotta say, kind of a shaky performance down the stretch from Fnatic, though, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, you make a hiccup when you have such a big lead, and it's not going to come back and haunt you because of that big lead. But I mean, if the game was a little bit closer, that might have turned the tide of the game.
Yeah, and Hani in the end, he'll drop a big pile of gold, picks up a Dagon 2, and they will take 3 lanes of Rax. All they need to do is siege that throne, but they're not doing it yet. These heroes coming up in about 15 seconds. Diving heroes when I feel they really should be focusing the base. There's a Manta style. Era's gonna jump in. He wants some extra kills. Will it cost them? It doesn't look like it. They'll catch out 2. 2 will fall, and even though 3 may respawn after that, Fnatic, they will find some kills, and now, at long last, 52 minutes in, they'll take a game that's probably been theirs for 15 to 20. So Fnatic looking good overall in game 1. Not perfect, not the smoothest performance, but they scrap out a win here. They'll be leading the best of 3, 1-0. One last fight before it's all said and done, though. Era taking some big damage. There's a vacuum. That's 5 heroes under the wall. Demon doing work with that crit, but not quite enough. He only gets no tail. Now Era jumps in. He is dropping rather quickly if he dies. Remember, he doesn't buy back. The throne's exposed, but the game not quite over yet. Now with 5 dead. At long last, EG scrappy as well, but just not quite enough fight left in that dog. They will drop game 1. Fnatic, boy, EG made them work for this one, but they take it in the end.
Yeah, and I gotta go back to about 15 minutes in. Fnatic down by 3,000 gold, but Anti-Mage very, very much so on par with Lone Druid. And from that point on, you know that EG doesn't have the big lead enough. The Blink Dagger perhaps came too late. Look at the line, 0-10-6. It's not like Beatus played poorly. He just couldn't find those kill or initiation. Got picked up by Storm and Anti-Mage multiple times, and Teamfight looked horrible for EG. So EG drops game 1 in this best of 3 series, and Fnatic looking poised to survive and move on.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. It's a best of 3. It's another fantastic day of G1 League, North American qualifier, European qualifier action, your Western qualifiers. The winners of these 2 matches move on into your winners finals and will be 1 best of 3 away from securing a berth, a paid trip with accommodations to the LAN finals for the G1 League. But before they could do it, they got to win this best of 3. And right now, Fnatic leading that best of 3, 1-0. Stay tuned. Game 2 coming up next.